Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Monmouth Park here on Sunday. It is July the 29th, 2018. It's Haskell Day from Monmouth, and I'm going to look at all the stakes races on today's program, including the Haskell. But before I get onto that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world. Some excellent racing today, by the way, in France at Deauville. A really good Group 1, so go check out that preview video here on YouTube for that card. Also, all through the month from Deauville, there's some great races in France. Kind of, how do I explain Deauville to an American audience? It's kind of like Saratoga, I would say, but maybe the racing. You see some really good group quality races there all throughout the month. So go keep an eye on that because you can make some money with some of those races. But we're back to America now with Monmouth. We're going to look at all the stakes races, basically races 7 through 12. Races 7 through 12. The 12th is featured Haskell. So let's get on to it. Starting off at the 7th. The 7th race, it's a 72nd running of the Oceanport Stakes. Grade 3, purse $100,000. It's for 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of 7 horses here going the distance of ground of 1,700 meters or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/16th on the Monmouth Turf Course. 1,700 meters, mile 16th, the rail's at 0 feet. And I show the diagram, just gives me a second to look down at my notes, just bear with me. Sorry, I'm stupid, I can't do two things at the same time, especially at 4:30 in the morning. My top selection here, I like the 2-horse Synchrony. I'm going to go 2-6-7-3 in the superfecta, 2-6-7-3 super. Top selection, the 2-horse Synchrony. 5-year-old horse by Tappet here, Joe Bravo. Gets the leg up for Michael Stidham. This horse's most recent outing came the 7th of July at Arlington, a mile and 3/16 in the Grade 3 Arlington Handicap, the local prep race for the million. This horse finished third by a length there. Didn't have the best of starts and was very wide, but had a little bit of a turn of foot at the end. It wasn't a total bad race. He ran well there. Before that in the Grade 1 Turf Classic at Churchill, yielding ground a mile and 1/8, made the 5th. This horse finished third by 3 3/4 lengths. Was very wide, but was on the right part of the race course. The outside, the 6 path is the best part when it rains at Churchill, because they're basically the how would I explain this? Say a normal turf course, say, drains like this, very level. Churchill, say the hedge is right here, the inner portion, it drains to the inner portion, so this right here is very firm ground. This is very soft. He was right here and took a good advantage of the ground, and he closed up well, really there. He ran a good third place finish. Ran a lot better than people expect. Go watch the replay of that race. It's a good run. But before that, the Muniz Memorial Fairgrounds, about a mile and 1/8 on their turf course. This horse won by 1 3/4 lengths from the inside, sat back early, but had a great turn of foot at the end, and he got the victory there. And then before that, in the Fairgrounds Handicap, won by 2 lengths, sat back early, closed up well, got the victory. He has already run here at Monmouth in the past. That came Memorial Day 2017, 1 mile on the Red Bank. This horse finished second by 2 1/4 lengths. He closed up well, a little bit of a turn of foot. It wasn't a bad race, but I think coming here and getting Jersey Joe Bravo up, I think this horse will really run a big one. Now to the multi-race, and all stakes pick 6 begins with this race. I'm going to go too deep here. I'm going to try and catch a little bit of a price here. I'm going to use the 2-horse Synchrony, and I'm going to use the 6-horse Dr. Mounty. I think at 6-1, he's a horse you want to put on your ticket. He's been improving with every single race since his last Tampa Bay race, and I think he's going to run a big one. Flavian Pratt up on him is not a bad thing either. So at 6-1, he'll be my price play for the multi-race. But to recap my selections for the 7th from Monmouth, it's the 72nd running of the Grade 3 Oceanport. Top selection, gonna go with the 2-horse Synchrony. Gonna go 2-6-7-3 in the superfecta. So now we're gonna head on to race number 8 from Monmouth. The 8th race, it's the 40th running of the Monmouth Cup. Grade 3, purse $150,000. This race is for 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of 6 horses here going the distance of ground of 1,800 meters or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/8 on the Monmouth main track. 1,800 meters, a mile and 1/8. My top selection in this one, I'm going to go to the number 6 horse, to the outside, Zenati. I'm going to go 6-3-5-1 in the superfecta, 6-3-5-1 super. My top selection, the 6 horse, Zenati, will be used on the multi-race along with the 3-horse Paige McKenney. I think he's going to run the big race here. So I'm going to go too deep in this race also for the pick 6. But my top selection, the 6 horse, Zenati, 5-1, 5-year-old gun by Gio Ponti, against gets Jorge Vargas Jr. on this one for Guerrero, who trains this one. Horse's most recent outing came the 7th of July here in New York at Belmont, a mile and a quarter in the Grade 2 Suburban Handicap. This horse finished 6th by 10 lengths. He stalked early, diversified, but then he just couldn't keep up with him. 53 cents to the dollar. He just kind of weakened out of it. I think coming here to Monmouth, a very speed-favoring race course, lesser quality race, I just think he'll run a little bit better, or actually a lot bit better. Before that at Belmont, a mile 3/8 in the flat out, the local prep race for the Brooklyn Invitational. This horse finished second by 5.5 lengths behind Hard Study. The horse was a little bit wide, but it wasn't a bad race, but maybe the distance was a little bit too long for him. I think cutting back to a mile and 1/8 is his preferred distance. I think the extra 2 furlongs that day maybe got to him, but it wasn't a bad race, shall I say, also. And then before then, the Excelsior at Aqueduct, mile and 1/8, April 7th. This horse finished second by 2.5 lengths, set the pace early on, and then he got caught right at the wire. Really couldn't get that good closing kick. And then in an overnight stakes, 100,000 stakes, the Laura, mile and 1/8, March 17th. Horse finished second by 2.5 lengths. That day he came from quite behind, a little bit wide, but he was closing up well, switching up the tactics there. I expect this horse here to sit a little bit closer. And at 5-1, he's sitting on a big race also, so watch out for him. A little off subject now. This race is called the Monmouth Cup. Years ago, when the Meadowlands used to have the flats during the fall, this used to be called the Meadowlands Cup, and you saw some very, very good horses running this race. Wild again won it in '84, then went on to win the Breeders' Cup Classic, the inaugural Breeders' Cup Classic. Al Sheba won this. Spectacular Bid won it in the late '70s. A horse, one of the best runnings I think was 2003. I was there that night, Friday night. Bowman's Band for Alan Jurgens winning that race. It wasn't a very good horse. Bowman's Band, he always ran in those Grade 1 races and never really. He never won, but he always ran decent efforts, finishing 3rd or 4th or 5th. But that night, Bowman's Band ran a hell of a race. The next year, I believe, Balto Star won it. He was a good horse. Taft Day. Those 3 years, 2003, 4, 5. That's when I was really getting into the horse racing and going to the Meadowlands on a Friday night during the fall for the flats. You saw some really good races at the Meadowlands. Hopefully, in the few years' time, maybe next year. I pray to God or whoever you believe in. I'm not a very religious person, so not God, but hopefully in the next few years, they'll have a fall Meadowlands. Dirt racing, a full fall thoroughbred meeting at the Meadowlands. I would really love that. Hasn't been there since like 2009, but hopefully with the making all that money from the sports wagering, they could convert the track to the thoroughbreds again. We could only pray. But back to the subject of the Monmouth Cup. Like I said, I'm going to use the 6-horse Sonati, and I'm going to use the 3-horse Paige McKenney, this 8-year-old gelding here by Eavesdropper. Horacio Caramanos is on this one. This horse, the old man, he ran the Iceland a few weeks ago here at Monmouth, mile 16, June the 30th, excuse me. He finished second by 5.25 lengths behind Harlan's Punch. He was a little bit, he had a little bit of a troubled trip there, and I think that cost him the victory. But before that, in the Salvatore Mile, this horse won by a half length, and he had a great turn of foot there, really opening up a lot of eyes, I think. He opened up my eyes there. He just won very nicely. His first race since the Gulfstream Park Handicap, where he finished 4th, and he didn't have the best of trips there, a little bit of a tougher race. And then the old Hickory at Gulfstream, he won by 4 lengths, quickened up nicely, had a very easy victory. I think here in this race, he can run a big one. At 9-5, his price sucks, but watch out for him on the end. He'll be definitely used in the multi-race. But to recap my selections for the 8th from Monmouth, it's the 40th Monmouth Cup, formerly known as the Meadowlands Cup. As a top selection, going to go with the 6-horse Donati. Going to go 6-3-5-1 in the superfecta. So now let's get on to race number 9 from Monmouth. The 9th race, it's the 52nd running of the Windstar Matchmaker Stakes. Grade 3, purse $100,000. This race is fillies, mares, 3-year-olds, and upwards. Field of 8 horses here going the distance of ground of 1,800 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/8 on the Monmouth Turf Course. 1,800 meters in mile and 1/8. My top selection in this race, I like the number 7 horse, the 7 horse Alisa's World. I'm going to go 7-2-6-3 in the superfecta, 7-2-6-3 super. To the multi-race now, some of these races are going to be a little chalky. I'm going to use the 7 and the 2, and I'm going to use the 6 horse Party Boat. hopefully I can catch a price with Party Boat on the multi race. But as a top selection, 7 horse Elisa's World, 5-2. Jose Ortiz picks up the mount on this 5-year-old mare by Champs Elysees. Horse's most recent outing came about a month ago now in the Eatontown here at Monmouth, mile 16th, June to 30th. Horse finished third by 2 3/4 lengths there. A little bit wide, had a little bit of a turn of foot at the end. It wasn't a bad race. It was an improvement off her start before she came at Pimlico. Soft ground, a mile 16th in the grade 3 Gallaret. This horse finished fourth by 11 3/4 lengths. The ground was soft at Pimlico, but it was a slow kind of soft that day. They ran the mile 16th at 153 and 3. Almost, almost you're going into harness times there for a mile, but 3/4 and 118. It was super slow. It was a very demanding course, and I don't think this horse really did well. Also, the horses, if you weren't on the lead on that turf course that week at Pimlico, you weren't winning, mainly because of rain. But just throw that race out, I would say. And then before that at Gulfstream, mile 8th in the fall in the Suwannee River, horse won by a neck there, a little bit wide, but he got there just in time to get the victory. And then before then, the Bobby Frankel at Santa Anita, mile 8th, December 30th. Horse finished second by a half length, very wide, but he was coming at the end. I like this horse a lot here today. She's been around the block a few times this one, and I expect her to run a big one. 5-2. I know the price sucks, but you have to take it. The 2-horse Dream of Wild is another horse I think can run a big one. 4-year-old filly by Warfront here. Jersey Joe Bravo is on this one here. This horse came out of the Eatontown, won the Eatontown a few weeks ago by 3/4 length. Horrible break. Got the lead at the top of the lane, and then he held on. A good victory for this horse there. Before that ran in the Churchill Distaff Turf Mile, May the 5th at Churchill, 1 mile. The horse finished third by 1.5 lengths there, but had a decent turn of foot in the straightaway. A little trouble trip early on, but at the end got ran well. I like her a lot here. I think she could run a big one along with the 6-horse Party Boat. This horse, she ran twice here at Monmouth, most recently in the Miss Liberty, the 9th of June. This horse finished third there by 2 lengths. Had a little bit of a trouble trip, but she was, again, this is the kind of horse she was closing up well there. This race, looking over it quickly, there's some speed on paper, and I think that should really do well for the closers. All 3 of these horses look like who I have on this ticket are closers, so that should really bode well for me. But this horse had a decent third place finish last time out. Before then, the Politely on the slop at Monmouth, she finished second by a half length. She was a little bit wide. She was coming at the end. It was a good race, but it was on dirt. And then before then, the Winter Memories at Aqueduct, mile 16th on the outer. Horse finished 7th by 5 1/4 lengths. There's something you have to keep in mind about the new turf course at Aqueduct. If you weren't on the lead or last, deep closers and speed had the best, the best winning percentage on the outer turf course at Aqueduct. The middle grinders didn't really do well. This horse was one of them, and he just never really got into it. And then before then, the Pebbles at Belmont. This horse finished second by a nose, nearly won, but it was a good race there. I like this horse a lot here at 6-1. I'm hoping on her to get the price play for my pick 6. So to recap my selections for the 9th from Monmouth, it's the 52nd running of the Grade 3 Matchmaker. Top selection, going to go to the 7-horse Elisa's World. I'm going to go 7-2-6-3 in the superfecta. To race number 10 from Monmouth, the 10th race, it's the 73rd running of the Molly Pitcher Grade 3 purse, $100,000. This race is for fillies, mares, 3-year-olds, and upwards. Field of 8 horses here, going the distance of ground of 1,700 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/16 on the Monmouth main track. 1,700 meters, mile 16th. As my throat is a little sore. Pardon this. I never take a drink during these videos, but I don't want to lose my voice. Nice iced coffee, which is not so ice anymore, but getting my throat back now. But my top selection here, I like the number 6 horse. The number 6 horse, as my iPad craps out. The 6 horse Unchained Melody. I'm gonna go 6-3-8-7 in the superfecta. 6-3-8-7 super. Top selection, the 6 horse Unchained Melody. Jose Ortiz is on this 4-year-old filly by Smart Strike. Brian Lynch trains. Horse's most recent outing came at Belmont, mile 16th in the Grade 1 Ogden Phipps. This horse finished 5th by 12 1/4 lengths. I think they were setting their heights a little bit too high that day, a little bit wide, and she just really didn't show up. It wasn't her day to win. Before that at Belmont, 1 mile in the Grade 2 Ruffian. This horse finished 5th by 5 1/2 lengths. Stalked early, and then she just hit the wall completely. completely. Again, wasn't her day to win. And then the Alabama at Saratoga, mile and a quarter, August 19th. She didn't finish the race there. She pulled up and was vanned off. I just don't. That was a weird race for her. But before that, she won the Mother Goose very nicely at in 2017 at Belmont. And then before that, she won an allowance race at Belmont very nicely. And then she broke her maiden at Gulfstream very nicely. She's a speed horse coming to a speed racetrack, and I think that's going to be the key for this horse. Her last two were shit, but I think she's going to run a big one here today. At 7-2, I'll take my chances with her, and I'm going to single her. I think she's a lot better horse than Divine Miss Gray. I think the Divine Miss Gray, she's going to, have a very tough challenge here, and I think, Unchained Melody could get it at the end, so watch out for her. So to recount my selections for the 10th from Monmouth, it's the 73rd running of the Grade 3 Molly Pitcher. Top selection, going to go with the 6 horse Unchained Melody. Going to go 6, 3, 8, 7 in the superfecta. I'll single the 6 horse. So now let's get on to race number 11 from Monmouth. The 11th race, probably the most wide open race of this pick 6. The 11th race, it's the Wolf Hill Stakes per $75,000. This race is for 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of 12 horses, a dozen horses going the distance of ground of about 1,100 meters, or the distance of ground of about 5½ furlongs on the Monmouth lawn, the turf course. And it's not exactly 5½, it's about. Hopefully you got that. My top selection here, I'm going to go to the 3 horse Proforma. I'm going to go 311. 6-8 in the superfecta, 311 6-8 super. To the multi-race, I'm gonna go 4 deep here. Use all 4 of those horses I have in my superfecta. Like I said, this is the race you might see a price come in. But my top selection, 3 horse Performa. Joe Bravo is 4-year-old gelding by Munnings here. Michael Stidham trains. Horse's most recent outing came the 17th of June here at Monmouth. 6 furlongs in the Mr. Prospector. First time facing older. This horse finished 4th by 2¼ lengths there. It was a little bit wide, but he was closing up well at the end. It wasn't a bad race, but I think coming to turf, this horse really do well. This horse had a very good turf run at Belmont last fall. 6 furlongs on the outer and the Allied Forces. Horse finished 3rd by 3¼ lengths. Closed up well there. It wasn't a bad race. And then before that, Laurel 7 furlongs in the Concern State last summer. This horse finished 3rd by 5½ lengths. And that day she just was under the drive most race and really never got into it. But before that, won the Jersey Shore last year at Monmouth very nicely by 1¾ lengths. I think here, quick pace in front of him at 12-1, second on turf. The horse really do wonders. His last good race was on turf, so watch out for him. Another horse I'll use here is the 11 horse and Primus. 4-year-old gelding by Broken Vow. Jose Ortiz is on this one. This horse ran in the Highlander a few weeks ago at Woodbine, and he finished 6th by 6¼ lengths. Trouble trip that day, never got to the front end, and it just wasn't his day to win. But I think coming here facing lesser quality horses on the home race course, I like this horse's chances a lot. Before that, in the turf sprint at Pimlico, 5 furlongs on that sludgy, sloppy turf course, this horse won by 5¼ lengths. The speed was holding up there, and this horse had a driving easy victory there in 103 and 4 for 5 furlongs. Usually on a good day, they'll run 5 furlongs in 53, maybe not 103, but and 4. It was almost 104, but this horse, great race there on that slow race course. And then before that, Gulfstream, 5 furlongs, Ops 25. Claimer. Horse finished 4th by 4¼ lengths. Stalked early, got the lead, and then he took off clear. I think this horse, again, should improve off his last one. A 2-1, I think he get a piece of it, along with the 6 horse Snow Day, French bred here, 8-year-old gelding by Falco. Antonio Gallardo's on this one. This horse is coming out of a race at Belmont. 7 furlongs, Obsolete Claimer, July the 11th. This horse finished 2nd by 2¼ lengths. Set the pace early on, got caught, but he ran a decent effort. Before that, in the Aqueduct Turf Sprint Championship in the fall, this horse finished 8th by 6¼ lengths and didn't break all that well from the rail and was just never really into it. It wasn't the day to win. But before then, the Belmont Turf Sprint, this horse finished 3rd by 1½ lengths and ran a decent effort there in a tough group of horses. It wasn't a bad race. This horse is 7-3 on this turf course. Last win here came in the Mr. Frenchman last summer, winning by 2¾ lengths, almost on lead all throughout. Very nice victory. I think he could run a good race here also, along with the number 8 horse Oaks Buff. This horse is, he's been around this Mid-Atlantic region, running some decent efforts on the turf, and he always runs a good race. another horse I would use here also at 9-2. I know crap price, but you have to take him. But to recap my selections for the 11th from Monmouth, it's the Wolf Hill Stakes top selection. Going to go to the 3-horse Performa. Going to go 3-11-6-8 in the superfecta. I'll go 3-11-6-8 in my multi-race. So now let's get on to race number 12 from Monmouth. The 12th race it's the featured event of the year from Monmouth, I guess. It's the 51st running of the betfair.com Haskell Invitational, grade 1, purse $1 million. This race is for 3-year-olds here. Field of seven horses here going the distance of ground of 1,800 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/8 on the main track. 1,800 meters, a mile and 1/8. My top selection here, I'm going to use the favorite, Good Magic, the 6-horse. Going to go 6-4-1-5 in the superfecta, 6-4-1-5 super. To the multi-race, I would go 6-4. I'll go too deep. Say Good Magic doesn't run his race. I want to get insurance with Core Beliefs, the 4-horse. The top selection, like I said, Good Magic, 3-year-old colt by Curlin. Jose Ortiz is on this one. Horse's most recent outing came in at Pimlico, mile 3/16 down the slop in the grade 1 Preakness. This horse finished 4th by length there, and he dueled with Justify for the first 5/8 of a mile that day, and then he just hit the wall. I don't think it was the right ride for Jose Ortiz to give. If I was Jose Ortiz, I wouldn't put this on the highlight reel. You know, it just wasn't his day to win. I wouldn't have tried doing that in a grade 1 race when the whole world is running, watching. It just wasn't his day to win. Before that, in the Kentucky Derby, his horse had a decent trip. He finished second by 2.5 lengths. He just missed at the end, but he ran a good effort there. And then before that, in the Bluegrass at Keeneland, mile and 1/8 on a very cold day, this horse won by 1.5 lengths. Wide post draw, a little bit wide, but he got there in the end. Major improvement off the start before, which came in the Fountain Youth, where this horse has the 70 cents to $1 favorite, ran a crap race. Promises fulfilled, went wire to wire. This horse just was never really into it. But then before that, he broke his mane in the Breeze Cup Juvenile very nicely by 4.25 lengths, closing up well. He's a little bit of a closer here, but I do expect him to sit maybe a little bit closer. Not setting, but maybe he could sit 4th or so. Not so far back by many lengths, but tracking leaders I could see him do. 6-5. Ship price, but he should run a big one, so watch out. And I think the West Coast Invader, Core Beliefs, can run a big one. 3-year-old colts by Quality Road. Flavian Pratt comes in for the mounts. Horse's most recent outing came to the Ohio Derby at Thistle, mile 8th, June 23rd. Horse won by nose there, another closer. He closed up well from the back of the pack, and he got there in the end. And it was an improvement off his start before, which came in the Peter Pan at Belmont, mile 8th, good going. Horse finished second by 1.5 lengths. That day had a horrible start, rushed to the lead. I had to lead in the straightaway. Then he got overtaken by another West Coast Invader, Blended Citizen. He just couldn't get there in the end. And then before then, the San Diego Derby, he finished 3rd by 9.5 lengths behind Justify and Bull D'Oro. Tough race, wasn't his day to win. He was the 3rd best of that group, I think. But, I think coming here, after, he's a bit of a versatile horse. He can come up from farther behind like he proved last time out, or he can set the pace like he did a few starts ago. I think here, very versatile horse, 4-1. I'll use him as insurance on my pick 6. But to recap my selections for the 12th for Monmouth, it's the 51st running of the grade 1 $1 million Haskell. Top selection, going to go to the 6-horse, Good Magic. I'm going to go 6-4-1-5 in the superfecta. I'll go 6-4 in my pick 6. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5. Good luck, everybody.